Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all praises and double honors due to Yahweh Bahasham HaMashiach wa Malak Yahweh Shai. Secondly, this is Brother Yardan WFI Detroit coming back at you with yet another cold cut. This cold cut is a part 2 to Sirach the 38th chapter. All right, we're going to dive right back into it. We're going to continue where we left off, which was verse 17. I'll start at verse 16. My son, let tears fall down over the dead and begin to lament, as if thou hast suffered great harm thyself, and then cover his body according to the custom, and neglect not his burial. Now, if you've seen the second, or slightly, if you've seen the first cold cut to Sirach the 30th chapter, towards the end, we went to John 19 and 40, right? We went to Genesis. We went to Sirach 22 and 12. So there's a process, and there's even a time period when you mourn for the dead. Verse 17, we bitterly make great moan and use lamentation as he is worthy, and that a day or two lest thou be evil spoken of, and then comfort thyself for thy heaviness. All right, you bring out Sirach 7 and 34. It says, fail not to be with them that weep, and mourn with them that mourn. So you have to mourn and be there for your brothers and your sisters in this truth, especially when somebody gives up the ghost, whether it be your uncle, your pops, your mother, your great grandfather, your auntie, your niece. All right, there's nothing wrong with mourning. We're not robots. All right, we still have, we have a heart. You understand? What was it going to get? Let's get Galatians 6 and 2. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Hamashiach. So we have to bear one another's burden. Hey, if my brother going through it, if he mourning, hey, then I'm a mourning too. All right. Plain upon tables. Let's go back to Sirach, chapter 38, verse 18. For of heaviness cometh death, and the heaviness of a heart breaketh strength. See, you can actually give up the ghost from a broken heart. Esau calls it broken heart syndrome. Right, I've seen that in a few Grey's Anatomy episodes. I believe other doctor shows. That's a real life thing. That's why the Lord said this in Sirach 31 in the latter chapter. Where is it? Sirach 30 in the latter chapter, where it says, this is Sirach 30 and 25. A cheerful and good heart will have care of his meat. Let me start up a little. Sirach, let me start up a little. Verse 21. Give not over thy mind to heaviness. Sirach, is it going? All right. Verse 21. Give not over thy mind to heaviness, and afflict not thyself in thine own counsel. The gladness of their heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of man prolongeth his days. So when you're more joyful, when you got a smile on yourself, it's like when you got a smile on your face, you tend to be, more, obviously happier, and that can prolong your days. All right, don't be that over-righteous brew. I'm in captivity. Brother, you still got the brotherhood, you still got, sisters, you got sisters, right? They kind of cheer each other up in this thing. All right? So, don't be Salakia. Salakia, people keep calling. Right, so let's go back to it. 23. Love thine own soul and comfort thy heart. Remove sorrow far from thee. For sorrow hath killed many, and there is no profit therein. All right, that's plain upon tables. Even the Lord is telling you, for sorrow hath killed many. Now I'm going to pull it up through the Spirit. See, broken heart syndrome. All right, and then Esau got the fancy ass words for it. All right, you can die of a broken heart. It's a scientific fact. You can't make this stuff up, man. It is a scientific fact. And in my heart has been breaking since that very first day we met. You get the point, right? Broken heart syndrome is called stress-induced cardiomyopathy, or Takotsubo cardiomyopathy can strike even if you're healthy. All right, but the point is, let's get this part real quick. Got to get this part. Women are more likely than men to experience the sudden, intense chest pain, the reaction to a surge of stress hormones that can be caused by an emotionally stressful event. That's why some women, they give up the ghost. I'm trying to keep it PG for this milk topic, but some women give up the ghost when they get assaulted sexually. Right? Their heart can't take it. It could be the death of a loved one, or even a divorce, breakup, or physical separation, betrayal, or romantic rejection. It could even happen after a good shock, like winning the lottery. All right, so Israel gets the point. Let's go back to Sirach 38 and where we leave off. 19. In affliction also sorrow remaineth, and the life of the poor is the curse of the heart. Take no heaviness to heart, drive it away, and remember the last end, right? Don't dwell on your pain and heartache, right? Forget it not, for there is no turning again. Thou shalt not do him good, but hurt thyself. Verse 22, remember my judgment, for thine also shall be so, yesterday for me and today for thee. When the dead is at rest, let his remembrance rest and be comforted for him when his spirit is departed from him. Right, like it's in Hebrews 9 and 27, once after death, then is the judgment, paraphrasing. So, let him be at rest. Verse 24, the wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure. Now, this is where it kind of transitions in this chapter. All right, so it's touching on a lot of things. It's touching on the physician. It's touching on death. Now it's going to touch on wisdom. It's one of my favorite chapters. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that hath little business shall become wise, as plain upon tables. If you don't have a lot on your plate in terms of work or family, whatever, you're going to have a whole lot of leisure to what? To do the work, to do the will of the Lord. Even Paul said in the book of 1 Corinthians. Let's get it real quick. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Bear with me. Where is it? I'm overlooking it. All right, so you're pretty much caring for the things of the world. Here we go, 33. I'll set at 32. But I would have you without carefulness, he that is unmarried careth for the things that belongeth to the Lord. So when you're unmarried, you have more time to serve the Lord. You got more time for breakdowns, studying, praying, fasting. Your only responsibility is just that, right? You don't have to take care of another soul. You don't have to tend to another person. Moving on. How he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. So that doesn't mean he's in the world, like he's wicked, right? He, even being in his truth, right? Knowing about Yahweh Shemel should have a wife, you're still out the world. But when it's going into things that are in the world, you gotta please her, and certain things that you have to please her is with things of the world, perhaps not wickedness, obviously, but maybe going out to the movies, buying her stuff, giving her attention. Brothers and sisters, no, I don't need to get deep and explicit. You understand? You gotta care for the things of the world. You gotta. There's a lot that you gotta do, right? Verse 34. There's a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. So it's vice versa. Even when you're a wife, right? A lot of Jake, you think, yeah, oh yeah, I gotta care for the things of the world. Even and that same goes for you women as well, right? You gotta please your husband. It's a lot of things you gotta kind of work on and do to please your husband. You understand? So let's go back to Sirach 38. This all links back to 38 and what? 24. 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity at leisure. He that hath a little business shall become wise. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the gold, that driveth the oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the kind fodder. Right now, it's going into different occupations of this world. There's certain farmers, right? They give their wisdom. It's like, how can you get wisdom when you concentrated on a plow all damn day? Now, again, understand that there's Israelites. You may have these jobs, but even when you're doing these jobs, you're meditating the law. So this is really referring to those that's without the knowledge, right? Or those on the other side of the coin, you can be in this truth and you can love work. Some Jake, they love work too much, right? Sometimes they'll do overtime when they don't need to. All right, verse 27. So every carpenter and workmaster that laboreth night and day, and they that cut and grave seals, are diligent to make great verity, or us like a variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work. In other words, you have to be very, very diligent when it comes to whatever your skill is, especially carpentry. And what else? The smith also sitting by the anvil, considering the iron work, the vapor of the fire wasteth his flesh, and he fighteth with the heat of the furnace. The noise of the hammer and the anvil is ever in his ears, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the things that he maketh. He setteth his mind to finish his work, and washeth to polish it perfectly. Now, when you do an anvil work, it's like when you're a blacksmith or a coppersmith, it's similar to welding in a way, somewhat similar, right? And I mean that you have to be very, 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 very diligent and careful on every move, every turn that you make. All right. So when you focus and really diligent and your head is all up in your work, you're not going to really have time to meditate for the Lord. Verse 29. I know a carpenter. I had a friend in the truth. He kind of fell out. He was a carpenter. Hey, and guess what? He gave his body and his mind over to carpentry. All right. Now he's not thinking about the precepts like he used to. Verse 29. So he worked himself out this truth. Verse 29. So doeth the potter sitting at his work and turning the wheel about with his feet, who is always carefully set at his work and maketh all his work by number. He fashioneth the clay with his arm and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. Amen. When you fashion that clay, that pottery is real serious, man. I seen somebody do pottery on Twitter. If I could find it, I will post it. I will kind of go through the video, but it is lost in a blizzard of things that I put in my bookmarks. But the point is, that pottery is real detailed. Hey, let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Hey, you know what? We're going to pull it up for Israel. I see Moab doing some pottery. I'm like, what the hell? All right, let me get this.
By advertising on YouTube, I grow my business by reaching my most important customers. People like Allison. She's...
Hey, this stuff isn't easy. Pottery not easy, man. You can't just wake up and say, okay, I'm gonna do pottery.
Make something really wide. Go some really big.
See that? He kind of leaning over. This is exactly Sirach 38. He leaning over, kind of being real diligent. You think this man worried about the precepts? You think he worried about how to serve the Lord? No, this is his life. He got to be perfect. Because when you doing pottery, you can kind of make it slanted. You can mess up on one thing. It could be uneven. You got to really give your mind to it. All right? And it's something to learn from this, because when you're in this truth, you watch them and you can consider, okay, dang, I see how diligent they are, how specific they are. I can take that energy and apply it to the truth, right? And become mighty in it. And again, this is a lot harder than it looks. You can't just wake up and say, okay, I'm gonna do this.
That's about as big as I can make a bowl.
They got all those views for a reason. This stuff is not easy.
Making a big bowl.
Okay, so there's folly in the comments. There's folly. All right. See that this stuff, man. You gotta be real diligent. All right, you get the point. Verse 31. All these trust to their hands, and everyone is wise in their work. Right? You know, they wise in their work. We can say that much. Verse 32. It's like without these, it's like all these trust in their hands, and everyone is wise in their works. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. So you're gonna need, for a city to properly function, you're gonna need a carpenter. You're gonna need a man that do pottery. Why? For cups, glasses. You know, I would say that fall into that area, but the point is, you're gonna need Satan. You're gonna need cups, bowls, plates. You need houses. You need the carpenter. And you're gonna need some iron. Who do you go to? You go to the smith. You understand? Hey, you need food. You need to grow some herbs. You need to buy some herbs. And who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the farmers. All right, all these things, you can't have them. All these occupations, you can't have them. And it's like you can't have a city without all these occupations and these jobs. That's the point. Verse 33. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit in the congregation. They shall not sit on the high judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. So these men, they're not going to be found there everywhere. If you got a problem looking into the scriptures and you need some help, you're not going to go to the brother Azariah that do pottery all damn day. Not that I know an Azariah that do pottery all day, but just an example. If it was in the ancient world. Verse 34. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. See that? Their desire is in the work of their craft. All right? So don't be these people where you give your mind over to your work and you start falling in love with your craft. Right? Don't fall out of love. Let me pull it up. This Revelation. Don't fall out of love with the Lord. 2 and 4. You got to love this work. As much as those people love doing a craft, whether it be pottery, carpentry, as much as they love their work and their craft, you got to love the scriptures and the Lord 10 times more. Revelation 2 and 4. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. So don't leave your first love. If you do, what will happen? Verse 5. Remember therefore from whence thou art fallen, and repent and do the first works. This is your first work. Not plowing at the gold, not being the damn blacksmith, not being a carpenter. That's not your first love. Keeping the commandments Waking up Israel, that's your first love. So, and do the first works, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will remove thy candlestick out of his place, except thou repent. So a lot of people we know in this world, they're maintaining the state of the world. And that applies to everything, you know. So you got people that's actually making the damn tips of your shoelaces. You got people that make pencils all day. You got people that make phones, steering wheels, blinds, shirts, shoes, whiteboards, chalk. This is people's lives. This is what they do all day. Everything you look around in your room, somebody made that. And best believe somebody gonna wake up Monday morning, 9 o'clock, and they're gonna make some more of that. All right? And a lot of those people that do that, they love their job. They love it. You understand? And the Most High put in their spirit to love it. So you have to praise the Most High that He doesn't give you over to that mind of loving your craft. So that concludes Sirach 38, the entire chapter. Al-Barat says how Israel has been edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. With that, I'm going to bid Israel Shalom to stay strong in the spirit, truth, and power of the Lord. Shalom.